Okay, well, my name is Matthew Skogan. This is my video for the Hands-On with Cloud Computing video project for developing industrial Internet of Things. I ended up going with the Iris dataset, which is it's actually kind of a common machine learning model. It's a very rudimentary multi-class classification for species of Iris, and the one I used is directly from this user's Seaborn GitHub account, and basically it's easy to use because you can read it in as a pandas data frame, and basically I trained my model on this dataset. It outputs predictions between 0, 1, and 2 for the three different types of species, and uses a 90-10 validation split. And yeah, it's Flask for my library. And basically, the way I designed this is I have a ping route, which is an extra call actually, basically just to make sure that the app is actually running on the VM. And then I have the three separate calls, one for storing the model, which allows you to pass in that Keras model that I was just showing that gets trained locally on the dataset. And then there's a second prediction call where you pass in a sample for the Iris dataset. It's for features, which basically are petal lengths and heights dimensions of the iris itself, which help make the actual prediction. And it spits out the probabilities for the three different types, and then also the most likely prediction. And then fetch model is get the model from the Google Cloud storage bucket. So this is and we can see down here it's running on port 80, which was a requirement for the project. So let me go over to my VM here, and I will execute the app itself. I use authbind because it's in the VM. I needed a good way to bind to port 80. First I was using Docker, but had a lot of issues, so this was easier for troubleshooting, and I was able to get it to work this way. So I trained my dataset in my WSL on my laptop, and I'll just make a test folder 2 really quick, and I'm going to copy over the Iris model that I trained. Here. And we're going to go ahead and add this preloaded so it wouldn't take forever when I did the demo. Basically, it just has the hard-coded IP addresses since it changes every time you restart the VM. That and pass in the model that I just copied over. Should. Okay, uploaded successfully Iris class model Keras. We'll go over to our instance here and check out the bucket to make sure it actually is loaded. Here's the name of my bucket here, the Iris identify models. And I have a few here from some tests, but we can see that the most recent one was just done 30 seconds ago, since it's 2 in the morning. So that one's the one I just uploaded, and if we go back to the second call, we can use this model that we just uploaded to make a prediction. These are the features here, the samples, so the 4 different features for each flower or iris. I did 3 different ones, so we should see if my model works well. It should actually predict 0, 1, and 2 for each of these. Just run each to kind of exercise the application. Okay, so that one's the first one, predicted 0, 97% probability. Pretty successful there. This one should be a VersaColor ID 1. Again here, 51% probability, less certain, but still accurate. And then we can do it again here. And you can see that this is going to the predict handle of the application. Our final one, number 2, with a 66% probability. So that's the prediction calls, which is just this suffix at the end of the API here. And then the final one is the downloading model. Basically, I have it outputting to a specific file name that I desire. You can modify this. So let's just go ahead and add a random. So we should be able to see fetches the model. And we can see it's even the same exact size. So that's the model that I just pulled down. And that's all 3 of those API calls. And we need to go over and verify firewall rules. So as far as the bucket goes, we can see it's not public. Let's screen this. Not public. And then I used a JSON file to actually authenticate, which is why it still works. You can see it kind of here. I have this JSON file stored locally on my VM, and it uses that to authenticate. So it gets around the whole private bucket authentication. If it was public, you wouldn't really need it necessarily, and it'd be easier to upload and pull and download these models. And then port 80 in the VM are probably the last ones. Let's go over to our instance. So when actively running Iris model host VM, go back over to here. This is the one that's running. You can see some output from the predictions that I was running. But this is the Iris model host VM that I was running my application on the service. There's that IP address I was calling for each of these curl commands. So I was running this on my laptop WSL, specifically targeting that IP address, which went out to the VM running in the cloud here. And then I need to look at firewall rules. If I click here, the firewall shows I have HTTP traffic enabled. I didn't decide to go with the secure version and just kept it simple. And this network tag HTTP server was also important as it's linked directly to the the VPC firewall rules. And if we go to those, see this default allow HTTP, and it's only allowing port 80 on the specific server. There's that target HTTP server that maps directly to that. And then there's just a few basic TCP ports open for SSHing, which is essential for doing this. And that's it. That should satisfy all requirements. Thanks for watching.